999ers risk their lives every day, keeping us safe.
If someone needs help, we need to go and help.
But all too often, they're abused and attacked.
He's got this huge sword in his hand. If I don't take this guy out, he's going to kill me.
These personal attacks on police, firefighters and paramedics are at an all-time high.
Genuinely did think that I was going to die that day.
That was the type of punch that could kill someone.
Leaving them traumatised and unable to work.
No amount of training can actually prepare you.
Show me your hand!
But while the violent criminals responsible are hunted down and brought to justice, our protectors fight to get well and back on the job.
The incident hasn't changed my feelings for the job at all, because ultimately, all I want to do is make a difference.
Ready to face the next critical incident.
Police, everybody out to the building!
Coming up. In London, a female paramedic is assaulted by a patient.
It was the malicious sort of look that he had that injected quite a lot of fear into myself and my crewmate. At that point, it was just quite horrific for someone to take advantage and make you feel extremely vulnerable.
Nottinghamshire Fire and Rescue are faced with a tyre fire that threatens to burn out of control.
How are we going to tackle this? How are we going to put a stop to this? And a little bit fearful. We had clear exit routes, but if this spreads quickly, where am I going to go? It is surrounded by sort of grass, trees. How far is this going to spread?
And officers from across England and Wales are recognised for going the extra mile.
It was unbelievable. Going to down the street and the actual awards ceremony, and it's a bit weird having a beer with your chief constable. That's a bit strange.
Serving the 9 million people who live and work in the city, London Ambulance Service answer 2 million 999 calls and attend more than 3,000 emergencies every day. Paramedic Charlotte Miller is just one of their 8,000-strong staff.
Working for LAS came about because I did my student placements at St George's University. I made the decision to stick with them as I feel they're a really good ambulance service to work for. There is a lot of career progression as well. There's a lot of opportunities out there. And also it's quite a diverse city. Being in London's quite a diverse city, so it's always good. You always get a combination, you'll always get something different. So I enjoy the busyness of London Ambulance.
Working out of Westminster Ambulance Station, Berry girl Charlotte is fairly new to the job, but well respected by colleagues.
Charlotte's a competent paramedic, and I say competent as in a safe pair of hands, not mediocre. Excellent rapport with patients, very friendly, excellent rapport with her colleagues as well. It gives people confidence around her. She's lovely to work with.
I still feel I'm relatively new to the job, as I've only been out sort of 18 months or so. There's still a lot to learn. There's still a lot for me to do. I would say that it's definitely a part of me now, but I feel that I've still got a long way to go.
She may have only been on the team for a short time, but Charlotte is already well aware of the risks of the job.
Believe it or not, I have had quite a few near-miss experiences within the ambulance service. I have been threatened with a wine bottle. I've also had somebody try to spit at me once, and also people getting quite verbally aggressive towards me.
But the threats would turn into something more sinister for Charlotte on a shift in October 2022.
I was working an 11 till 11 shift on the day of the incident. Day went completely smoothly, as it normally would. Dealt with quite a lot of normal patients, no sort of inkling of any bad incidences or anything. However, the last job of the day turned a lot different compared to the rest of the day.
Charlotte was on shift with a female colleague. They received a call from a member of the public who was concerned for the welfare of a man.
Upon arrival, the guy or the patient was behaving relatively normal. There was no indication at the time to say that in any way that the situation felt unsafe. The gentleman was cooperating normally with us. He was willing to come to the ambulance with us for a further assessment, as we couldn't quite assess him on the street where he was. So as we got the gentleman, or guided the gentleman towards the back of the ambulance to encourage him to get into the ambulance, it became quite apparent that his attitude and his behaviour towards me and my crewmate drastically changed. There was a feeling of fear at that point that something bad was going to happen. It was just an uncomfortable feeling, an uncomfortable look that I feel that was given to me and my crewmate. Something just didn't feel right. As I was stepping into the ambulance backwards, so he was coming forward towards me, he stepped on the first step and then grabbed my crotch. I brushed it off initially, but then he went to do it again. It happened again for the second time, and it was the malicious sort of look that he had that injected quite a lot of fear into myself and my crewmate. At that point, it was just quite horrific for someone to take advantage and make you feel extremely vulnerable.
The unwanted, uninvited touch on an intimate part of her body left Charlotte stunned.
What was going through my mind was just a combination of different mixed emotions at the time. At that point, it's sort of survival instincts. You kind of jump away. You want to help the patient, but at the same time, you're kind of fearing for your own safety as well. So it was a mixture of being frightened, being quite scared of what was coming next, also feeling quite disgusted about the fact that that's happened.
And the vile abuse wasn't over yet.
We weren't safe for the patient to get in the ambulance because obviously it's a lot smaller, it's a lot harder to deal with. It became apparent that he pulled his trousers down and also exposed himself as well to both me and my crewmate, which is not right in any way, shape or form. It's like I had some sort of like tunnel vision, as in thinking to myself, okay, you can get through this. I was definitely scared that he was going to try and do it again to myself. I was scared that he was going to grab my crewmate as well. I was just, petrified that it was going to escalate further.
Charlotte hit her emergency button to call for backup.
It was a busy night shift, as ever. I had just finished another job, and I got a call saying that there was a female crew being sexually assaulted, and could I get there as quick as I could just to help out and offer some support.
While the street is busy, Charlotte and her colleague feel isolated.
There was a lot of gentlemen around that made me feel even more insecure, even more vulnerable. Nobody, not that they need to, but nobody was helping us at the time, and it just felt like a really uncomfortable situation to be in.
The pair have called for help and have an anxious wait for the police and colleagues to arrive. Colleague Andy was finishing a job nearby when he got the call to help.
All I knew when the call came down was that it was a female crew being sexually assaulted. I knew their call sign, but I wasn't sure who was on that call sign. So I started making my way to where, as it turned out, Charlotte was on blue lights, thinking, am I just going to end up in some fight in the back of an ambulance with a patient or something? I just wasn't sure what I was going to be faced with.
Within the first couple of moments of processing, I didn't realise the severity of what he'd done. It took a good sort of minute or two. I think as soon as the police arrived, my mentality shifted. I felt a bit safer, and especially after he'd been arrested as well, I just felt better that this has happened. But then after that, it took a bit longer to process the information.
Andy arrived just moments after the police.
So Charlotte and her colleague were just by the door of the ambulance with the police, who had the patient that had assaulted Charlotte in handcuffs by this point. There was quite a crowd of people stopping, watching, filming on their phones. Everyone looking at, well, apart from the police, looking a little shell-shocked, really. Frightened. She was alarmed, you know. It's night time, it's raining, this is not a nice place to be, and she's just been assaulted in a horrible way.
Charlotte gave police a statement and returned to her ambulance station.
Management were fantastic, you know, talked me through, helped me out. Got to the end of my shift and then I just went home. Didn't see any more patients after that. And then throughout this process, management contacted me quite a lot to check I'm okay. I had an officer contact me the next day from the police to give me updates and tell me what's happened.
It was when she returned home, however, that the real impact of her assault began to hit her.
I was quite emotional when I got back home. I just felt quite vulnerable. I was very, very shocked and quite upset. To speak to my close friends and my close family about what's happened, and they've definitely helped me through the process.
Colleagues also noticed a change in Charlotte.
It's just undermined her trust in patients and her confidence in dealing with these situations when things can become unstable and turn on a sixpence and escalate without any warning. It just undermines her confidence.
I am probably a little bit more wary of people in certain situations now. You know, I probably have more of a bit of a guard up now compared to what I previously had. But me personally, I just went back out there and did what I needed to do again.
Charlotte was determined to get back to work.
I felt ready to go back to work even after a couple of days after the incident happened. Because of all the support that I've received from London Ambulance and from management, I think that gave me the encouragement to go back out there and do my job.
Less than a month after her assault, Charlotte's attacker pled guilty to sexual assault and indecent exposure. He was sentenced to 9 months in prison.
I felt happy that something's happened, that this was taken seriously. I feel that a 9-month jail term sentence is quite a hefty sentence. He put me in such a vulnerable situation, and I was worried that he wasn't going to get convicted for this.
The incident also had a lasting impact on Charlotte's colleagues.
It made me feel angry. You know, a female crew at night is so vulnerable, you know, and we inherently want to trust the public, and we inherently do trust the public because these are still rare episodes. And it makes you angry because of what's happened to Charlotte, but angry as well because it just bursts that bubble of trust. You want to believe in the good in everyone.
Despite the incident, Charlotte is determined to get on with her job.
Made me more determined to do my job and be better at my job, really. And made me more cautious about my own safety as well. Because your safety comes first rather than the patient. You can try and offer as much patient care as possible, but you don't want to put yourself in them situations.
Being involved in this incident has certainly made me more aware of the vulnerability of female crews.
I do feel that female paramedics do experience some difficulties within the job, especially when there's 2 paramedics that are crewed up together. I kind of feel there is an element of vulnerability when it comes to females compared to an all-male crew or a female and male crew. I think that some people out there kind of prey on that vulnerability of females, and sometimes I feel that we do get put in a difficult situation, but I would hope that that wouldn't affect me from doing my job.
She has no regrets about coming forward about her attack.
I've chosen to waive my right to anonymity just so I can encourage other people to come forward. I wanted to tell my story of what's happened to me and encourage people who it could happen to do the same.
Although deeply affected by the incident, Charlotte is determined not to let it hold her career back.
I am quite a resilient person. I didn't let this affect me or prevent me from going out there and doing my job. I kind of say within this job, you kind of take the rough with the smooth. A couple of times you'll have your good days, your bad days, you'll have your interesting days. I mean, I'm an incredibly passionate person, very caring, always like to have a bit of a challenge as well. So it's an exciting job and that's what I love about it.
The Fire and Rescue Service performs one of the most dangerous jobs in the country. Facing danger at work is written into the job description if you're a firefighter. Chris Wakefield is a driver for Nottinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service.
One of my earliest memories was my next door neighbour. The grass embankment across from our house was on fire. My mum rang the incident in, so she called 999. Suddenly my next door neighbour disappeared down to the fire station and reappeared back on the fire engine at Eastleigh. And ever since then I've always been interested in the fire service.
Chris would face one of the most challenging fires of his career in the summer of 2022.
So it was Friday the 5th of August. It was our first day shift, so normal day. We knew we might have been busy because the weather was still hot. So alarms went off normally like they do, and it came in as fire in the open at Ranskill. We responded.
The area where the fire had started was familiar to Chris. It was a huge tyre recycling plant near the small village of Ranskill.
The site at Ranskill was a known risk. They said to me, if there's ever a fire here, chances are it'll be a big one. That was down to the fact there was just so many tyres, a build-up of what we call combustible material.
Station Commander and Waste Fire Tactical Advisor Jim Dykes was off duty that day.
I'd actually gone locally with my family and we could see the smoke plume from about 20 miles away. And then my phone just started going crazy. I'd switched my radio on and I was listening to the messages coming in, and it was clear from the messages that we had a significant incident. You could hear that it had been sectorised, you could hear the number of resources in attendance, and we also have a tracking system, a mobile app on our phones, and when you went on that, it was just going on forever in terms of resources and things that had been attached to the incident. I knew it was going to be probably one of the most significant incidents that I'd ever gone to in my career.
En route, control passengers' messages saying they're receiving numerous calls for the incident. Now, most incidents we attend, be it house fires, animal rescues, we tend to get 1 or 2 calls and that's it. However, when control are passing to you via the radio that there's been numerous calls for this incident, that suggests something has seriously gone wrong. It's about 10 minutes away from us on a blue light run, so there's 10 minutes of potential fire spread before we even get there.
Waste fires pose real threats to firefighters. Burning tyres give off many toxic fumes, including carbon monoxide. Local residents in Ranskill and Retford, just 5 miles southeast, were advised to stay indoors with doors and windows shut. On the ground, firefighters had multiple threats to deal with, least the heat itself.
Looking out over the full length of the site, you could see that there was just flaming material across the whole site, from ground floor height to the stacks, as well as machinery and piles of tyres. You had a significant flame front at sort of areas up to about 30, 40 foot in the air.
I'd say when we first arrived, a bit nervous. How are we going to tackle this? How are we going to put a stop to this? And a little bit fearful. We had clear exit routes, but if this spreads quickly, where am I going to go? It is surrounded by sort of grass, trees. How far is this going to spread? The thing that shocked me the most was the radiant heat already being felt. You could perhaps stand in 20, 30 metres away and you could feel the intensity of the heat already.
The blaze was an obvious concern, but the firefighters had other worries.
We knew we had asbestos involved as well, and we also knew that the neighbouring sites had further sort of storage of chemicals and flammable liquids.
These chemicals could not only fuel the fire, but also risk more toxic fumes being created, posing a risk to both the firefighters and those nearby.
The problem was the site was laden with fuel, so whatever direction the fire wanted to go in, it could quite happily travel in that direction and find more fuel and continue to spread. At any point, there could have been a discarded cylinder or something along those lines that could have exploded.
Head of Response, Andy Macy, was on his way to the scene.
As I headed up the A1, you could see the smoke plume for a very, very significant distance. Certainly approaching the incident at Ranskill with the size of the smoke plume, there was a level of anxiety because this was clearly going to be one of the most significant incidents I've attended.
There were homes only a few hundred metres away. Multiple engines were on the scene, but for a fire of this size, firefighters need a large local water source to draw from.
At the height of the fire, we had 12 fire appliances there, which is a significant number for Nottinghamshire because we only have 30 within the county.
We then were able to, using our small tank of water which we carry on the fire engine, we're able to get 2 hose reels onto it. Whilst all that was going on, we requested further fire engines to attend. I believe we asked for 8 initially. It then went, I believe, to 16. And then it's all about securing a constant supply of water.
The engines alone weren't enough. A nearby pond was found and used as a water source, feeding the appliances and their hoses.
It was still a potentially very dangerous incident. The fire was still spreading. I believe the fire was spreading for a good 8-9 hours despite the copious amounts of water we were pumping onto the incident. We were just struggling to get it under control.
They tried another approach.
What we needed to do was to try and put fire breaks in place. Unfortunately, just due to the size of the piles and the amount of heat that was coming off them, those fire breaks were not effective in terms of the fire spread.
Despite all the resources now on the scene, the fire was still raging. The plume of smoke visible from 50 miles away. It was declared a major incident.
We were struggling to access the sectors because as the wind changed direction, the heat coming off the tyre material was just preventing us from getting access. We were having to drop into neighbouring fields to get safe access around the sites.
And the thing that alarmed me the most, or made me worried the most, was in different sectors they were having to withdraw quickly and swiftly because the fire spread was so quick, and that's when we were sometimes getting fire hose burnt out. So it was a little bit alarming to hear on the radio asking people to withdraw. It's very rare.
We still had some members of the public who were on the site at that period in the evening, despite being asked to leave. So it causes major issues for us in terms of our priorities is obviously our crew safety and public safety.
Later, despite the firefighters' best efforts, the fire continues to spread.
The wind direction had changed again, and we had an issue in Sector 3 where the fire front was spreading faster than we could extinguish it.
A police officer's daily routine is unpredictable and varied, from making arrests to helping victims. Expecting the unexpected is part of the job, but one thing they can be sure of, is that the work is often dangerous. Here, during a routine patrol in Harrow in January 2023, officers came across a house with smoke billowing out of a top-floor window. The fire brigade may have been on their way, but the officers had to act quickly to make sure no one was inside.
Someone close the door. Hello? Is that your property? Do you get out? Hello?
Crowbar, give them
Someone here.
To their horror, they found a woman inside with smoke inhalation. The doors were locked and she couldn't get herself out. They raced to the back of the building, and with the help of members of the public, they used anything they could find nearby to gain entry. Inside, they found a woman covered in soot, suffering with carbon monoxide poisoning and in a very confused state.
Is anyone upstairs? Huh? No. Nobody upstairs? Nobody.
She was helped out by passers-by. The officers were unable to check the upstairs due to the ferocity of the fire, and they made sure there was no one else on the ground floor. More than 300 people die every year in fires in the UK. Due to the fast action of the officers on that day, this incident came to a swift conclusion with a life saved. Still to come. In Ranskill, Nottinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service are still trying to bring the massive blaze under control.
It was spreading towards an area of natural fire break. So at that point, we focused all our efforts in that sector. We gathered additional resources from across the fireground, additional hose, additional water supplies, and we just focused everything in that fire break for around about sort of 45 minutes an hour to try and stop the fire spreading to the adjacent properties.
Police officers from across England and Wales are recognised for their roles in critical incidents at the annual Bravery Awards.
I didn't feel like I was a hero because the way I see it, everyone there is a hero in one way or another, because some of the stories you hear, it's like, oh wow, that's amazing. But to be selected for this year's winner, it's amazing.
The nature of policing work has evolved over the 200 years since the first professional police force was set up, and so too have the tools for the job. But one key ally and protector has been there almost since the beginning, the police dog.
Get your butt. Get your hand behind your back. Get your do not move your hands!
Every day, police dog handlers hit the streets with their canines, hoping to use their skills to bring suspects into custody. This often means going into dangerous environments, involving weapons, unpredictable suspects, and the potential threat of injury. In this clip, officers are called to an abandoned building in Gloucester in search of a man suspected of burglary. Firearms officers, along with police dog Arnie and his handler, were tasked with locating the man and bringing him into custody.
Right, come on out, or the dog will be coming in.
Police dog Arnie is ready for work.
Wait. Stay!
After a short time searching, the suspect is found, and faced with a police dog, he chooses to surrender. In this clip, a man takes his chances and speeds off when approached by an officer from South Yorkshire Police. He leads the police on a highly dangerous pursuit through residential areas, reaching speeds of up to 90 miles per hour. Once cornered after crashing the vehicle, the man decides to make a run for it.
Going down a footpath. Asian male, white top, black tracky bottoms, black trainers.
He didn't count on police dog Luna in fast pursuit. Luna quickly catches up and the runaway driver is swiftly arrested. The man was convicted of dangerous driving and driving while disqualified. He was jailed for 21 months. Sometimes the mere presence of a dog unit van is enough to convince a suspect to give themselves up. Here, officers from West Midlands Police are in a high-speed pursuit of a vehicle believed to be linked to car thefts in the area.
We are 100 in a 30.
onto that.
Upon realising he's being pursued by a police dog van, the suspect pulls over, handing himself over to the police. The driver pleaded guilty to dangerous driving, driving whilst disqualified, and was jailed for 18 months. West Midlands Police are following 4 suspects who had broken into a newsagent's and made off with £1,000 worth of tobacco, alcohol and cash. In an effort to fend off the police, the suspects start throwing items.
Items being thrown towards us as we move on to... Watch out.
2 of the suspects are quickly arrested, but the other 2 have attempted to hide in a nearby scrapyard. Police dog Pancho is brought in to pick up their scent and sniff them out. Searching through a wrecked car, she indicates to her handler that she has found something.
I can see you in the back, so get your hands out now. I'm sending the dog in. Get out now! Right, show me your hands, mate. Show me your hands now. Put your hands towards the steering wheel. Get out now.
The man was in fact 20 years old and promptly removed from the vehicle. He was arrested along with his brother, who also gave himself up. The 4 suspects all received jail terms for their actions, totalling over 8 years between them for a string of offences, including burglary and driving whilst disqualified. In Ranskill, Nottinghamshire firefighters have been called to the scene of a huge fire at a tyre recycling facility. They've been trying to battle the blaze, but it was still going strong.
22 years in the fire service, I've been to lots of large-scale major incidents, and this, without a shadow of a doubt, was the largest in terms of the sheer size of it, the size of the smoke plume, the heat, the radiant heat. It's not going to be one of those incidents where we're there for a couple of days and we're able to sort of leave the incident and hand it over. I knew that we were going to be there for some time.
Not only had the fire got a good hold, it was growing.
At that point, it was probably around about 10 o'clock in the evening and the wind direction had changed again, and we had an issue in one of the sectors, in Sector 3, where the fire front was spreading faster than we could extinguish it. Adjacent to that area was a timber yard, and then adjacent to the timber yard was a scrap yard with multiple vehicles in it and cylinders, etc. In terms of the hazard, it's where the fire's spreading in that area. So you've got intense heat, you've got intense sort of situation where you're putting firefighters in significant area of risk. But the goal of that is to do it safely and to achieve the outcome of stopping the fire from spreading to the adjacent buildings.
It's exhausting work for the firefighters on the ground.
This was a particularly physical and arduous incident to deal with in conditions which were extreme temperature, extreme heat, and particularly dangerous. So the welfare of the crews was of utmost importance.
Getting desperate, the firefighters put all their hope in one last attempt to create a firebreak.
It was spreading towards an area of natural firebreak. So at that point, we focused all our efforts in that sector. We gathered additional resources from across the fireground, additional hose, additional water supplies, and we just focused everything in that firebreak for around about sort of 45 minutes, an hour, to try and stop the fire spreading to the adjacent properties.
The strategy proved successful, and they finally started to bring the blaze under control.
So during the first initial stages of the fire, there would have been around 70 firefighters in attendance, taking on various roles and various specialism roles. That would have probably lasted for around about the first sort of 48 hours until we started to scale the incident down.
For days on end after the main fire had been brought under control, the crews tackled smaller spot fires and kept the smouldering remains from reigniting, which could have risked the whole thing going up again.
After around about 2 weeks, we were looking at the recovery stage, and we committed to 2 crews going up to the site every single day, plus an officer, to go and coordinate activities and ensure that we could methodically work through the site, cooling the site, turning it over, whilst not causing any further sort of damage to the environment and the local community.
The incident took 34 days for us to resolve. Now, there was clearly a significant period where we were still dealing with hot spots and pockets of fire, but it was more about trying to get the site back usable for the businesses.
That goal was achieved surprisingly quickly.
So yeah, in terms of the site then, when I came up the other day, obviously the main sort of buildings that you can see in the distance, that's where they've started operating again. But as you can see from the rest of the site, it's pretty much as we left it in September. Still a lot of the waste on the site. And looking at it, like I say, speaking the other week, it looks like they'll be up to sort of full scale as pre-fire sort of conditions before too long as well, which is, like you say, really good news story in terms of the site and the fire. During the incident, the owner spoke about the fact that they may have to sort of close the doors, as it were, resulting in job losses, impact to the local community. And having visited the site afterwards, the proudest thing for me is the fact that the site is still operating. We've actually maintained that business, and it's a business that's been on the site for over 40 years now. So I suppose that's the proudest thing, that the service actually pulled together and achieved that for that local community and for that particular business.
At the end of the incident, our fire investigation team carried out an investigation into the cause of the incident, but unfortunately, due to the scale of the site and the damage that had been done, it was inconclusive and they weren't able to determine a cause.
Given the ferocity of the fire and the dangers of the site, the opportunity for injury or loss of life had been high.
We had two members of the public, workers at the site, who were seen by East Midlands Ambulance Service and treated for smoke inhalation. But other than that, there was no injuries, no casualties, which was testament really to how we had approached the incident and dealt with it.
So this is, in my 10-year career, the biggest fire I've ever attended easily. The sheer scale and size of it. It's not often I get messages from my parents who live a good sort of 50 miles away that they can see a smoke plume, which I'm actually in attendance at, so that sort of gives it some scale.
I think one of the things that appeals most to me about the fire service is the fact that every day is a different day. For me, the best part of the job is seeing how we turn up as a team, how we work together, and when I say work together, I work with other agencies and other services, and we resolve incidents. We attend an incident and we resolve it well.
This is certainly a job that will stick with me and I'll remember throughout my career. There's been a few over the years, but the scale and significance of this one is one I will remember for a long time.
Every year, the Police Federation of England and Wales holds a special award ceremony to recognise the bravery of officers across the land. Each year, the ceremony is an important event for those officers who have been invited.
It's amazing to be recognised and for the public to see what kind of things we do and, you know, not just the negative sides of our job.
It's always good recognition-wise, but one thing I'll say is, we've all discussed this, if we wouldn't have gone in that day, for whatever reason, there'd be a long line of cops all waiting to do the same as us, and that's ultimately what it's all about.
It's so nice to get recognised. My colleagues, my friends, they're so pleased for me.
Officers from all forces are nominated, and winners are selected for all regions, as well as an overall winner. Several of the nominees we've seen on the series. Sergeant Mike Watkins and PC Tom Swift were just some of the officers nominated this year after they disarmed a man wielding a 12-inch long knife on a bus. After their tasers had no effect, they were forced to retreat before taking their chances and tackling the knifeman. Despite the danger they put themselves in, they never expected to be nominated.
I was asleep in bed, got woke up by my phone ringing, and it was the Police Federation informing us we'd been nominated for the Bravery Award. I thought I got pranked. I rang Mike, I says, I think we've been pranked, mate.
The ceremony this year was held in Downing Street.
I never really ever thought I'd be through those gates on this side of Downing Street. It is an amazing honour and an experience I'll never forget.
It's essentially the most famous star in the world, isn't it? And to be stood here is just crazy, really. I don't feel real at all.
It was unbelievable. Got to Downing Street and the actual awards ceremony, and bit weird though, having a beer with your chief constable. That's a bit strange. Yeah, I was on my best behaviour.
It was just nice to see what other officers have done. And once you've seen what other officers have done, I don't think I deserved to be there, to be fair. I nearly walked out when I read some of the other nominations.
PC's Ashley Crowe and Matt Henry Randell were also nominated for their actions, rescuing a man from a burning building. They brought him downstairs to assess his condition. He wasn't breathing and they started CPR. After moving the man outside, they continued to work on him until paramedics arrived.
It was very confusing getting told we're being nominated for Bravery Award because I think with COVID it had put it all off, so I think it had been nearly a year since the incident and nothing had been said, nothing had been done. We sort of just moved on and forgot about it.
PC Aksit Ekram was nominated for an incident when he was confronted with a man wielding a sword. The man lunged at him and Aksit was forced to back off. Too close to use his taser, but he knew he must act and struggled with the man to wrench the sword from his grasp.
I didn't feel like I was a hero because the way I see it, everyone there is a hero in one way or another because some of the stories you hear, it's like, oh wow, that's amazing. But to be selected for this year's winner, it's amazing.
It's an opportunity for their families to understand a little more about the dangers they face.
My family is extremely proud of me. My parents, they were in tears watching the award ceremony, I've been told. My dad's extremely proud of me. One of the few people in the family that's joined the police, and to go this far and to achieve this much in the police, it's something that you would never really think of or believe it could happen to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sergeant Mike Watkins and PC Tom Swift.
Mike and Tom won the award for their region in the North East.
Having praise and attention for what we've done with this job, I don't really feel like it's necessary or needed, to be honest. I think if boss just give it a pat on the back, good job, that'll do, I'd be fine with that.
Please welcome PC Aksit Ekram.
Aksit won his regional award.
All the spotlights on you, the cameras are on you, the lights are on you, everyone's out, everyone's up, clapping and cheering for you. And yeah, I don't feel like I've done anything major. I'm quite humble like that. I'm just doing the best I can.
While the overall award was won by PC Stephen Dennis for his capture of a wanted murderer when he was off duty. For the 76 nominees from 39 forces of the Bravery Awards, recognition for the work they do is important, but ultimately, they accept it's all in a day's work.
Getting something of that level, really good. Like if we weren't there, someone else would have done it. But to get the recognition that you have done this, it's not every day that something like that happens.